In a world torn by power, pride, and fear, there rose a boy no one expected. Not a warrior, not a king, a shepherd, a singer, a soul after God's own heart. This isn't just history, it's a divine journey. A story of courage that shattered giants, of humility that outran pride, and of a heart that burned for something greater. Before he was king, before the crown ever touched his head, he was chosen by heaven. This is the story of David. In the quiet hills of Bethlehem, a young shepherd named David lived a life of simplicity, watching over his sheep, playing music on his harp, and singing songs to God. But this wasn't just any boy. God had a purpose for David that would change the fate of a nation. One day the prophet Samuel arrived in Bethlehem on a mission. God had rejected Saul as king, and he was ready to anoint a new one. "Go to Jesse of Bethlehem," God said, "for I have chosen one of his sons to be king." Samuel met Jesse and saw his sons, strong, tall, warriors, but none were chosen. Finally, Jesse said, "There remains the youngest. He's tending the sheep." And when David entered, God spoke, "Rise and anoint him. This is the one." From that moment, the Spirit of the Lord came upon David. But his path to the throne wouldn't be easy. At the same time, King Saul was tormented by a spirit, and his advisors suggested music to calm him. David's reputation as a skillful harpist had spread, and soon he was summoned to play for the king. When David played, Saul found peace and unknowingly welcomed the future king into his court. Not long after, Israel faced a terrifying enemy. The giant Goliath, a Philistine warrior, mocked Israel's army, daring someone to face him. "I defy the armies of Israel," he roared. "Send out a man to fight me." While seasoned soldiers trembled, David, just a boy with a sling, stepped forward. "You come with sword and spear," David declared, "but I come in the name of the Lord." With one stone, David struck Goliath in the forehead. The giant fell, and the battle was won. David became a national hero, but fame comes at a cost. As people praised David, Saul's jealousy grew. "They credit David with 10,000s, but me with only thousands," Saul said. "What more can he take but the kingdom?" Saul tried to kill David with a spear, twice, but David escaped. Saul offered David his daughter Michal in marriage, hoping to trap him. As a bride price, he demanded something outrageous, 100 Philistine foreskins, expecting David to die trying. David delivered 200. Saul gave Michal to David, but now feared him more than ever. Jonathan, Saul's son, loved David like a brother and warned him of the danger. One night, Saul sent men to kill David. Michal helped him escape through a window, deceiving the soldiers with a dummy in the bed. David fled to Samuel. When Saul sent men to capture him, they were overcome by God's Spirit and began to prophesy. Even Saul was stopped, struck by the Spirit, and left prophesying on the ground. Still, David didn't retaliate. When he had the chance to end Saul's life in a cave, he only cut off the corner of Saul's robe. Later, he showed Saul the cloth. "I could have killed you," David said, "but I will not harm the Lord's anointed." Saul wept. "You are more righteous than I," he admitted. "You will surely be king." Even in hiding, David's integrity shined. In the wilderness, David encountered a rich fool named Nabal. David's men had protected Nabal's shepherds, and now they requested supplies. Nabal insulted them. David was ready to retaliate, but Abigail, Nabal's wise and gracious wife, intervened. She brought food and peace, saying, "Don't let this be a blemish on your record. God has great plans for you." David was moved. "Blessed be your wisdom, and blessed be you," he said. Soon after, Nabal died suddenly, and David took Abigail as his wife. Despite being hunted, tested, and wronged, David never lost sight of who he was or whose he was. His journey from shepherd to king was marked not just by battles won, but by character revealed. And that's what made David a man after God's own heart.